Ready?
I call the meeting to order of the Stuart Municipal Utilities. We begin with roll call. John?
Here.
Shirley?
Here.
Craig?
Here.
Kim?
Here.
Corey? Here. Agenda approval, consent agenda, minutes of the regular meeting from November 18th, 2021. Financial statement of November 30th, 2021, and bills as presented. We have a motion.
I'll make it.
Kim? Second. John, how do you vote?
Aye.
Shirley?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Corey? Aye. Item 5, city administrator reports.
As a vote of our financial statement, page 1 shows that we have 5.5 million in the bank. Page 2 describes what the 5.5 million going to the beginning of July 1st to the end of November. We have moved from 5.1 to 5.5. We had a profit of 333,469. That was considering the underground project. And without considering the underground project into the calculation, we made $334,081. We're doing good. Page 3 shows the budget. We're still within the budget. Our budget is 4.1 million. We spend 1.1, still have 2. So we don't go on the budget too. In the month of November, from the beginning of the month to the end of the month, we made profit of $3. So our financing good shape, and we hope we will continue like that until the end of the year. The next report, the breakdown for the budget for your information. We go to the budget that we would like Lincoln account. We have five people with the check mark on the right and the left of the paper without saying names. We have 2 people on page 1, another 2 people on page 2. You all sent to the state, 5 of them, and number 5 will be on page 4. Still sent to the state. And page 5 has 1, last one, and there in that report, the Lincoln account paid in full. We have no changes to it. That take us all the way to page 8 to end that report. The next report will be payment agreement. We added 3 people to our payment agreement. Go paid in full payment agreement. We have 3 people managed to pay either by check or cash. One shown on page 1. Another one shown on page 3. And one shown on page 4. That take us to page 6 to end the report. Budget billing report has no changes. Following by deceased and bankrupt with no changes. Last report is the offset program for your information.
Thanks, Ash.
Thanks, sir.
Any questions for the reports? Very good. Item 6, public forum. Do we have any?
I got a couple of things to talk about if nobody else does. First thing, we had an electric rate study done, if you remember it. Sometimes it takes months to get it done. They got it done finally, and they recommended no increase for this coming year. They said probably the following year there might need to be around 2%, not this coming year. Something a little bigger than that is coming, our power provider, SIPCO, they're talking about changing their rate structure in 2024. They've talked about it before and they've never done it. But when they do, they use meters. And that would almost, it would pretty much require us to do the same thing. Everybody that gets power from St. Louis wants to have to go to 10 gauge metering, which would be, we would have to buy longer electric meters. Something that's coming down the road, they're about $300 a meter for 800 customers. Meters, so yeah, a substantial amount of money. But it's a couple of years down the road. Hopefully they will put it off again. They've put it off a couple times. I'm hoping they'll put it off again. And if this supply chain thing doesn't get meters out. So you can't, they're 6 months, 6 to 10 months out right now, just to get a meter that we've been using for years. And to go for everybody that all the RECs and all the municipals like us, if we all had to go buy a bunch of these tiny use meters at the same time, there's not gonna be enough. I don't,
Will the meters we have be obsolete then, Pat? Or will-
basically, they would be obsolete for us. We could try to find somebody else that might want them, we can sell them to them.
Yeah.
That would be about all we can do with them.
Why are we doing this?
What's that?
Why is SIPCO doing this?
That's the wave of the future.
To be able to accurately catch where the high peaks are?
Yeah, so I mean, what it really entails is from 8 in the morning, let's say 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening, electricity might cost 25 cents a kilowatt. But then from 8 to 8, 8 at night till 8 in the morning, it might only be 6 cents. So they're trying to get you to use power when there's not a big demand for it. They want you to run everything that you have that's electric off peak. So, and usually, from what I've seen in the past, Alliant does it to some of their customers already. What I've seen, and my mother-in-law has it, but on the weekends, it's just a regular week. On the weekend, I would hope that it would be the same here, but it would only be during the week. So, you would want to be using the most power like washing up clothes or, it's hard to not cook on off hours.
Pat,
Wash your clothes on.
Yeah.
is there any data that would indicate what it does to our rates?
That is a discussion that is ongoing right now. We would have to come up with a completely different rate structure. Group 15 towns, and we're talking about the possibility of going together and coming up with a different rate structure that everybody could live with if this happens. But, which makes it hard because, you know, a lot of these, everybody's a little bit different in how their rates are.
Yeah.
And a lot of towns are still using that power cost adjustment thing that we don't use anymore. And I don't know how they could ever use it in a time of use meter situation. I think they might have to give that up. It's one of those things that's coming. We're planning on implementing it in January of 24. So we got a little time. I talked, not even knowing that this was coming, I did talk to our guy at DGR that does our rate studies, and he told me, he goes, yeah, it's coming, it's just a matter of time. And he says, when it gets there, he goes, give me a call, because I've done it for other towns, set this up. It's a completely different way of paying. You got to try to avoid the peak hours, and if you can do that, it's going to be not too bad. But if you use a lot of power during the day, at 20 cents a kilowatt, I mean, you're going to see it on your bill.
Do you anticipate there being a lot of change in how our staff will have to like send out bills or anything?
I don't think it'll be how we send them out. It's going to be a little bit of a learning process, especially for Sarah, because she does a lot of the collecting. But you know, we send everything down to who does our billing for us?
Mail
Services. They do our billing for us, so they would have to be in on it too and understand that this is going to be, and maybe they already do it for other customers.
Yeah.
So maybe it wouldn't be that big a deal for them, but it's gonna be a little bit of a learning curve for everybody, including all the customers, well, when they can, or when they shouldn't use that much power. So it's a effort that instead of having us run engines on peak hours, our diesel and our generators, this is a way to try to get people just not using as much electricity during peak hours, which is, they say it's around 4 o'clock is a lot of time, 4 to 6 is your biggest peak, but really it's all day. Things have changed. And if there's a big enough gap, you know, if it was only like a 2 cent difference, people aren't gonna change. But if it's a big enough gap between off hours and on peak hours, people will see that in their bill. And I mean, it could make a big difference on when you're using power. We have no say in it as far as, they're gonna, if they go to this, we're gonna have to do the same thing, just like everybody else. Our is gonna be upfront, or maybe if there's a way that we can buy meters slowly over a few years would be better, but we're looking at $250,000 worth of meters. Yeah,
And that may be, what we want to look at doing is putting some of those dollars in the budget every year for the next couple of years, you know. So if and when it does happen, we've got some, you know, we're not get some slammed all at once, so.
Well, except who will be able to help us.
they haven't said yet that they will. But I mean, when the time comes, I don't know if they're gonna fully implement the plan all at once, or if they're gonna, I don't know how you would implement it a little bit at a time. It would be hard to do.
Especially if you made the decision to go to that, I can't imagine it would take, they would want it to take 5 years to transition over.
Right.
Seneca here and a few more REC.
They're gonna wanna do it all at once.
Yeah. But that's a big undertaking for them as well.
It is. Yes, it is.
So, and with the way you got, the biggest thing in the supply chain right now are chips, and if they can't get them now, by 2024, they're probably still gonna have trouble.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take more than 2 years to fix that. Yeah. If we can't get the meters, I don't see how they can switch us over to it. I mean, we're pretty small potatoes compared to some of those big RECs out there that are gonna be, 5,000 meters.
Yeah.
So it's gonna depend on a lot of factors, and maybe it doesn't come around. They've been talking about it for a couple of years now, and they keep pushing it back, and I think they're gonna have to push it
I
back
think they
in this
will.
time too, just because of the availability of supplies. It's just not gonna be.
I think we may want to think about beginning to plan for that too, you know.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up. I mean, it's a couple of years away, but it's gonna be a big expenditure for us.
Can we have a reserve account that so many dollars are allocated to it so often?
If we get to this point, we will.
I guess I'd want to have a little more definite, SIPCO to be a little more definite on when and if they're gonna do it.
Yeah, and they're not. They've said they were gonna do it a couple different times, and they've never done it. Now they're saying they're gonna do it again, so it's one of those things, are you or aren't you?
Well, and I guess, I don't know if we're able to push them to say, you can't do this overnight. You gotta give us a chance to react to this from a budget standpoint.
Right.
I would think they'd have to give us at least 2 years' notice.
They're saying right now, if they do it, it'll be January 24. If they do it. We don't want to get caught, not being, but at the same time, if they're gonna push it back again like they've done a couple times already, how much do we prepare for? It's, we kind of get stuck in the middle there. We don't really know what to do because they won't give us a definite answer.
Well, I don't think we can plan definitely until they do, you know.
Right,
And then if they come out and say, well, we're gonna do it next week,
yeah,
you know,
that's just it.
I'm gonna be pounding on the table.
I mean, with the supply chain, I don't see it. It's gonna take too long to fix that and all the chips and everything that nobody can get. That's why we can't buy meters right now is because they all got chips in them. And there's chip shortages. So,
That's good information, good food for thought.
just something to think about. That's,
Have you heard from either Jeff or Chip about the project?
I heard from both of them today, and we're waiting on our attorney to get some paperwork done before either one of them can move forward.
Okay,
So it's on her now. She has been unreachable. Mike's tried to get a hold of her, I've tried to get a hold of her. Chip has called her multiple times and sent emails to her, and she has not responded. So I don't know if we just need to go down there and beat on her door or what.
we may have to.
And I don't think she
Maybe just
understands
show
that some
up on her.
things need to be done in
That's
a
right.
certain amount of time, and she can't just wait forever.
Yeah, it's not something you can put on the back burner.
That's right. I mean, I guess if we have to go down and walk into her office unannounced and say, we gotta get this done.
Yeah. Which is,
So she won't return a phone call, that's.
yeah, it's
that's not
frustrating.
good. Yeah. I'd like to hear by next month, one way or the other.
Right,
So,
it'd be great, but no, Chip's tried, Mike's tried, I've tried, and
It's your turn, Ash. Get on it.
You'll beat on the door. Actually, I have to.
Have you?
okay, yeah,
Well, at least you talked to her.
I have to try to each other.
Oh.
in all seriousness, it may come a point where you gotta get in the car and just drive down there.
Yeah, it's kind of, Ben and I talked about alternatives and we might end up with some of them.
you know.
It was really old to try to reach out.
That needs to get done, so.
That's all I got, that's all the bad news.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I want to say something. I want to thank Cody for
Yeah. it's cool.
Absolutely.
time being on the road and it was an outstanding job, really. And I appreciate working with you.
I appreciate that too.
Yeah, Corey, it's,
It's been a good group. I've learned a lot.
You've become a really good board member, I hate to see you.
we've learned from you too. Mikey didn't have any luck in finding out if he could still serve if he didn't live in town.
I did not, unfortunately. I wish he could.
Can we change that?
Gladly.
We might be able down the road to find a way to bring it back to us. But I really want to thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you. The board was in need of someone like you. Be down the road and find a way to.
Well, I do appreciate getting the opportunity to serve on the board, work with everyone. Like I said, it's been a learning experience. It's an opportunity.
Well, it's a job well done, Corey. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Cody.
Best wishes with your house too.
Thank you.
Best wishes, especially.
Have you started your house?
They started, yeah.
Oh, there's a
Four
plus.
walls tomorrow.
Wow, you've got some really good weather. It's supposed to be nice next week.
We might luck out yet. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Cody.